And just when you think things can't get better, Dave Filoni yet does it again, and we get some of the best Star Wars that we've seen in years. Hey guys, welcome back to Clan Brandalorian. I'm the Brandalorian, and let's get into this Ahsoka Episode 4 breakdown right now. With this episode being titled The Fallen Jedi, we have a lot of questions. Are we talking about Ahsoka? Are we talking about Anakin? Are we talking about Baylan's skull? And this question paints so many pictures. This is just some of the best Star Wars that we've had in over a decade. And not to discredit The Mandalorian, Rogue One, this is some of the best 35 minutes you could ever indulge in. So as the crew crashes down on Cetos, Huyang is trying to figure out what's going on with the ship, Sabine's trying to get in contact with Hera, and Ahsoka standing outside the T6 just feeling what's around her. Ahsoka then tells Sabine that she knows what Baylan and Morgan are trying to do with the star map. It's to bring in a higher power, which is Thrawn. She then tells Sabine that Thrawn will be back to be heir to the Empire. And some of this just stirs up some of Sabine's emotions, and same with Ahsoka, Hera. They all miss Ezra, but they know if they try to go and figure out where Ezra's been, more than likely Thrawn will be an opponent. Morgan Elsbeth then uses Night Sister magic again to use the star map, and she tells her droids to download the coordinates to Paradia. And then an HK droid just kind of attacks Huyang, and then we get to see Huyang just go into full Bruce Lee mode. Who would have ever known that Huyang got the moves like that? But he's seen many Jedi, he's seen a lot of them all throughout the years, and of course he's going to pick up some skills. And as Ahsoka and Sabine leave into the forest to go find out where the star map is, Huyang tells them to stay together. Things will work out better in their situation if they stick together. Then we get an awesome shot with Hera, Jason, and Chopper leaving the New Republic base. They're leaving to go ahead and find where Ahsoka and Sabine are. And of course, as they're leaving, we get our boy Carson Teva. He's back. Great character in The Mandalorian. He wants to help out everyone for the greater cause, so it's great to have our space guy back. Let's go. And then we go back to Baylan and Morgan. They're looking at the star map. Baylan's skull does tell Morgan that if this is off by just a little bit, their coordinates, that they will just be in dead space, basically. This is such a huge jump going from one galaxy to the other. As what we see in hyperspace in Star Wars, it's just kind of like they're bending time or bending the map of the galaxy. So basically they're getting from one end to the other in a quicker amount of time. So that's what kind of makes this kind of scary, is if they were off by a little bit, you would just be in dead space. Like, where would you be? So then Ahsoka and Sabine run into Marok and Shin Hati, and we get some of the best lightsaber sequences that I think we've seen in a long time. It's really cool to see, Sabine has learned a lot since her last battle with Shin Hati, and then we go back to Ahsoka and Marok. They're fighting. Their lightsaber scene is amazing, and you can see Marok countering a lot of Ahsoka's attacks. So then once we get Marok starting to spin his Inquisitor lightsaber like we've seen a lot in Rebels, he then dashes right at Ahsoka, and Ahsoka just gives him one jab right across the chest, ending his life. It reminded me a lot of Darth Maul and Obi-Wan in the Twin Sons episode. This was a great callback to that, and I think this was used very well. And what was also the cherry on top was it's not Starkiller. But then Shin Hati can hear the scream coming from Marok. And then Marok does have a lot of dust and like fog that comes out of his body once he's cut open. And this has me thinking, is he made from Night Sister magic? Did Morgan Elsbeth make Marok? Did she revive him? Was he an old Night Brother? Did she resurrect him and use him for combat? Sabine then tells Ahsoka to leave, go get the map. Ahsoka leaves. Shin Hati's like, y'all shouldn't have done that. And at this point, the cinematics, the music, and the pacing, amazing. This is a true Star Wars project. Ahsoka finally confronts Baylan. It's nothing but Baylan bringing up her past, trying to get inside of her head, basically blaming her for Anakin's downfall. And then we get a beautiful lightsaber sequence of Baylan and Ahsoka fighting. Ahsoka then pushes Baylan away and tries to get a hold of the star map, but he keeps blocking her. And then what I thought was really cool was Sabine gets knocked down by Shin Hati, and she fakes the force push, and Shin Hati flinches at it. So maybe she thought Sabine was force sensitive but just wasn't using her potential. And then Shin Hati throws down a smoke bomb, and she gets back to the star map base. But then Ahsoka finally is able to get her hands on the star map. As she pulls it off, it pains her. She starts screaming, and I'm wondering if the Night Sister magic from it being ignited to show and to illuminate the area, I wonder if some of that was going through her body. That's why it caused so much pain. As Shin Hati pulls up, Ahsoka then thinks that Sabine didn't make it or is hurt. So then she force chokes Shin, lifts her up, and then throws her across at the rock. So then Sabine shows up, and now Ahsoka is like, oh, Sabine's still here. And she tells her to go ahead and take the star map and destroy it. Then Baylan Skoll turns around, gives Ahsoka one more lightsaber slash, and she falls off the cliff. Baylan Skoll then turns around, looks at Sabine, and is like, we can get Ezra back together, essentially. Playing with her heartstrings, knowing that she'll give in if Ezra Bridger's announced. So then Sabine, of course, hands Baylan Skoll the star map, and he puts it back on and lets the coordinates keep getting downloaded. Shin Hati then gets up and she force chokes Sabine. Baylan tells her to let go because he promised that she would have no harm. Hera then finally gets through to Huyang, and as they show up to Cetos, they see the Eye of Sion coming through the atmosphere. Once the star map is fully downloaded, Baylan Skoll then destroys the star map. That way no one can follow them and know exactly where they are. Morgan Elsbeth then gears up the Eye of Sion to jump. And as Morgan Elsbeth gets the Eye of Sion ready to jump into hyperspace, Hera and 4 other X-Wings are sitting right there, and they make the jump through hyperspace through their area, and the ships are jammed after this. You know, a couple X-Wing fighters go ahead and crash into each other. Our boy Carson Teva did make it out alive. We see Hera, and she just looks very distraught. She looks over. Jason says that he has a bad feeling. So maybe through the Force, he can feel what's coming. He can feel that Thrawn is going to be our new big bad, and that things with him will not be good for the crew and the rest of the galaxy. And see, it's like this. The writing is beautiful. The way that our characters are showing emotion, the way Dave Filoni is telling these characters who is who for them to allow to understand each character's significance and what they're bringing to the table. This makes Thrawn scary. We get to see Jason, a kid who doesn't even know Thrawn, express the feelings that he's feeling at that moment in time. Then we're back to the cliff and we're zooming out kind of into the ocean, and then we get the greatest transition ever. It slides into Ahsoka laying down, and there's just blue matter around her. We then get a panned out shot, and we see that Ahsoka is in the world between worlds. The world between worlds in live action is beautiful. This is some of the best things that we've seen come into live action so far. And then, of course, we hear a voice that says, "Hello, Snips." Ahsoka's very distraught. She's so confused. She's met with Anakin once before, but she knew that it wasn't him anymore. Anakin then says he didn't expect to see her. She turns around. We get Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith, and it's portrayed by Hayden Christensen. This is so amazing to see him back. It's great for the story, and just Hayden Christensen alone adds so much weight to any Star Wars fan all across the board. This is something that we've been waiting for in this Ahsoka series, is to see Anakin as a Force ghost, as a flashback, and we're finally getting that. But as we get a couple shots at Anakin, he's smiling at Ahsoka. They have a very brief moment. It cuts to black. We hear Darth Vader's theme song, So What Can Be Next? But you know, if you guys are still watching this, please understand Dave Filoni really is giving us strict Star Wars. He's not bending any corners. He's not going over here talking about this. He's straight to the point. He's letting us see his vision. This is a beautiful moment in Star Wars history. We're getting to see basically the Clone Wars, Ahsoka in live action, and we get to actually see that relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka in live action. So yeah, this episode, 10 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with this episode. Everything was just perfect, and it makes me very excited for next week. Episode 5 is supposed to be the biggest episode yet, so we're gonna do everything we can to go into that fresh. But as always, guys, if you liked this breakdown, go ahead and subscribe. You can change your mind later. Like the video, let me know how I'm doing with these breakdowns, and as always, may the Force be with you. But until next time, Brandalorian, I'm out.